Okay, folks, let's adjust the screen. Okay. Let's get rid of all these glasses because you don't need readers when you don't have your contacts in. Okay. The accumulation of all kinds of things over on this side. All right. I think we're somewhat better. Okay. What's going on with this screen thing here? Which one of these is that? Is it that one? Is it this one? It's unlocked that. Can we make it bigger? No. Well, we can, but okay. User unfriendly. All right, let's down some coffee. Okay, so yesterday we were working on the Kinderkampfwagen here, and we did the black lining on it, and painted the tires and the tracks. So we're gonna do the weathering now. I need to paint these little things on the back too. So let me get to do I want to do that now or later? Yeah, Mercedes-Benz Unimog. That's what this thing is. Little pieces of hot glue that. Honestly, the hot glue makes my life a lot easier because I just have to mix up epoxy and all that nonsense. Making everything a big deal when it doesn't need to be. We'll paint the little things now. These are propane tanks. Propane tanks usually come in white. We're gonna paint these white just so it's like, hey, is that a bunch of propane tanks that's dropping? That's exactly what it is. And this isn't supposed to be some kind of proto-military vehicle. It's supposed to be something that commandeered and kludged together. Alright, which one of these brushes we're going to use? That, yeah, this one right here. Another hot glue gun strand. I try to be kind of careful so they aren't anywhere and just create more work for myself, but They sometimes escape me. Kind of an odd brush positioning for painting, which I don't really think much of, other than I can't paint in midair. You know, I've got to have my wrists or my arms rested, just so it's not taxing. I mean, I could just do. Whoop, thank you. I could do this for like hours. You know. Ah, Hoffman. Good morning. I tried to get some Gaslands stuff done this morning, but it's not a morning for that. Kind of woke up pissy for some odd reason. Well, I wake up in a bad mood all the time, but that's because it's a work day. But one of the reasons I do this as often as I do it is mood enhancement. And generally, everything here goes right. At the end of the day, I'm going to feel better by doing it. And that was one of the reasons that I started painting every morning. Is you have a win before the day starts, before anybody else wakes up. You're already knocked out a win. So I say this is my therapy, and I say it all the time. People go after work like, I gotta have a beer, I gotta paint. You know, beer doesn't solve anything. The alcohol doesn't solve anything for mind altering purposes. And it gives me a fucking headache too. So it's like, great, that's the last thing. And actually, this week I don't get headaches very often, but this week I'd say of the 5 days, 3 or 4 of them I had a headache, and it's just sweating it out, man. Just being dehydrated, being outside, like. I got off this show and I talked a little bit last night. I talked a little bit to my wife about her travels and everything, and I told them about the people in the UK that don't have AC. And she said there's this follower that she does, and she's vacationing, and she's a Floridian, and she's vacationing in the UK. And that's what she was saying. It's like, it's not really that hot out there. You can go in because the shade in Florida, like it is in Texas, I'm sure. You go in the shade and it's just as hot. And that's where all the bugs are too. So now it's like, it's worse in some ways. Like we're landlocked, so you don't really get a breeze here. I mean, you can, but it's rare. And that actually works pretty well. Put your finger in it. Yeah, she's saying, like in Europe, there's no air conditioning. I'm like, how can there not be any air conditioning? I mean, I get it if you don't have central air, right? I mean, my first apartment didn't have central air. It had a window unit. And those, maybe you're not heating up the entire house, but they start working immediately. I mean, that counts as air conditioning. You don't even have that? I'm like, can't live there. I can't live in here. Sorry, I can't retire in Spain. Sorry, guys. There was not a win in Gaslands this morning. I think I primed and started this car at least 3 times before stripping it again. Well, you know what I'm going to tell you. Go to a different car. And I've had that experience. I don't know how many cars I've done. Let's say 130, right? It's something like that. Two I'm not happy with. And if, I'm pretty intolerant. I'm pretty intolerant when I'm not happy with something turns out. And you try to fix it and you don't. And it's a rare, I don't know how to deal with it, I need to go to therapy for it because it's such a rare event. I don't get to practice, that kind of failure. And it's not that it sucks. It's just that it's not what I wanted. You know, you ordered a tuna fish sandwich and you got something else. I wouldn't order a tuna fish sandwich, but I don't eat tuna fish outside the home. That's creepy what they might put in it. Same thing with chili. Yeah, it's time for a different car. Yeah, you didn't do. I mean, it happens to me. It happens with me with. I don't know that I'm ever going to be happy with it, and I just can't. I can't put my finger on it. Let's talk about the two cars I don't like, and can't remember what the second one is, but there's got to be a second one. This thing. What's the other one? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't dislike the second one as much. These are like the only two cars I've either not liked, and all the other ones I've liked, or just been amazed how well they've turned out. And it's all perception. Perception is reality. This was originally in dark blue and orange. Dark, dark, dark blue. Dark. Like darker than navy. And like orange. And this is this Stein rod. And the reason I don't like this one is it's just, I didn't know what to do with it. I wanted to build the car, but the car's freaking made for Gaslands. And I wanted to build a car, and I just didn't know what color to paint it. So I decided to do what a lot of people do, is just kind of make it look Mad Max, apocalyptic. And it works for the car, but it's just like, blah. Because it's just all black, It doesn't have any sponsors on it or anything. It wouldn't work the color it was in at all. I generally grab the car and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use the color that's it. I mean, that's what I gravitate towards is the color of the vehicle. But in this case, I'm like, I got to repaint this. And it's just it's just hard to get excited about this thing. Now, will this car play like crap? Probably not. It probably is going to be a fun car to play. It's got a ram on the front and a ram on the back. And it's got that skill where if you hit somebody and you're still in a collision, you can still fire. So they go, I think it's called boarding party. It might have a few other things, but it might have grenades or something like that. But it doesn't have any mounted weapons per se. It's out there to ram people. Ram rat. So, and there is a rat on the seat. That's one of the hidden gems of this particular one. Is it has a rat in a pizza box. Anyhow, not thrilled with this one just because it's bland and boring. Totally appropriate for Gaslands, just bland and boring. And this fucker, what is this one called? I don't know, it has some kind of a rude name. It was a white truck that had this splash of neon paint, and so I'm like, well, good. That's why I want to get it. It's going to be a girl driver and all that, where there's a little bit of a hint of the blue, of the purple, of the pink. Good Lord, more coffee, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't. It was like I was fighting. It's kind of like when you build a vehicle and you're using a bunch of different parts and there are a bunch of different colors. And you don't really realize how good it looks or how bad it looks until it's all primed or painted one color. So that all those different things aren't speaking at you, going, hey, look at this. I'm over here blue. It's that subconscious. Like this thing got 1,000 times better when it got primed in one color. And then when the camouflage went on, I mean, it just blew me away. I mean, this thing is it's going to end up being my favorite vehicle so far. Okay, what is this thing called? Dirty Hooters? No, Dirty Cooter. Dirty Cooter. And I mean, the weapons is nice. I use this mount from the guys that do the auto. Well, it's just part of a mounting. I put it on with a missile. Everything's weathered nicely, and then I'm like, all right, well, I have to make it muddy, and the mud just end up looking like it's a two-tone car, but that's not really what the intention. Some people think it looks rusty. I'm okay with that. It's just not what I wanted. So does it look okay? I mean, the lights look great. I mean, it's got a lot of fucking lights. Talk about hunting people at night. Yeah, Dirty Cooter. So there's nothing wrong with this. It's just it's not what I envisioned. It's not what I envisioned. And I did one of those Africa Core things, right? Like my Africa Core, like, are they dusty or are they yellow, but the yellow kind of faded so you could see some of the gray, or did they overspray with the, it's like it goes both ways. I need to come up with a term for that. Androgynous. An androgynous paint scheme. But that's good because it can be whatever you want it to be. Oh shit, I'm working in modern art now. What do you think this is? Well, what do you want it to be? Oh no. But, you cover all your bases. And this is kind of the same way. Like, is that mud? Is it rust? Well, it can't really be rust because why would only the bottom part rust? Unless it was like stuck in a saltwater lake or something like that, But anyhow, I'm just disappointed because it didn't turn out how I thought it was going to turn out. And I think it's because it had a splash of pink, and I was also trying to do, when I paint a splash of like dirt and stuff, and I think they were working against each other. But it's not a problem with the body style. The weapons look good. The armor plates look good on it. So I'm just going to leave it alone. But I struggled with liking how this one looked, and yeah, I'm just not. But it's definitely dirty. But that's, I don't love everything I do. But I'd like to get it right the first time. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. But you'll figure it out. I've never stripped something and then restripped it. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but that's the thing the airbrush really gives you an advantage of. You generally don't paint so thick that you have to do that. But have I airbrushed all of them? Well, I started doing this post airbrush. See, before I got an airbrush, you don't know what you're going to do until it's in front of you. I thought for sure, we're just going to weather with it, right? Like, make like this dust overspray here. I don't want to do that. You know why? I have no control over the airbrush. I have zero control over it. I can do some things that look pretty damn decent, like I know what I'm doing. I'm generally feel really strong about my color selecting skills with contrast and things like that. But I feel like the airbrush controls me. Even when I'm being careful and I'm patient, it's just, when I did this, it just didn't turn out as well. It's like, okay, we're starting. All right, cool, this is good. And then you don't move anything, and all of a sudden, the water combination, the thinner combination, well, it's generally a water type thing, but the thinner combination with a paint is a little maybe different in one little swirl, and just something comes out different. Then you got to dial everything back in. It's another level of something else, And you can watch all the videos in the world how to do it. You just have to do it. You just have to do it. And what I mean to airbrush is difficult, like the camouflage stuff. You know, like even doing the different shades, that works out fine. But it's when you're trying to do a thin line and you're like, oh man, I got this great. And then all of a sudden it starts misbehaving and you're not doing anything different. And there's plenty of paint in it. You know, it's just that weirdness, you know. But I'm a lot faster at switching things, cleaning them. I mean, when I was first doing it, they give you like this little tool where you got to look through it, make sure there's not a clog of paint. Fuck all that shit. You know, like, I don't have those problems anymore. You know, you go in, you rinse it, you get as much out as you can, then you take one of those little pipe cleaners, you dip it in this stuff, and it melts any paint you didn't get away. You know, melts, so to speak, you know. And once I started doing that, I'm like, this is easy, you know. But it's a lot harder than doing this. This is a piece of fucking cake. And if it gets out of hand, you know, you can see it getting out of hand before it gets out of hand. So you never prime something and then restrip it as well. Yeah, and I'm going to say something that may surprise many people. I don't know that priming is that big a deal. I just do it because I think it's what you're supposed to do. The primers I use aren't that durable. You could scratch them with a fingernail if you wanted to. They all kind of suck in a way. The thing that's great about the primers are if you prime with a paintbrush, if you've ever painted like a figure and you're like, all right, I want to paint the whole thing black and I want to get inside the chainmail and everything and I don't want to like paint it and then it pops sometime during the night while it's drying and then I got this spot in there that's not primed. Whereas it gets in all the nooks and crannies. It's really amazing the material that it's made out of. All of them. And people they say this is not very durable, but this fucker gets in every nook and cranny. And I don't know that I've ever had something primed with that, put a paint on it and clear coated it, that the paint has rubbed off. Now, I'm careful with it. You know, we're not super handling it any more than you need to, but I don't know. I mean, it's not that I'm going to stop priming. It's just kind of it's nice to have the prime just so it's like, okay, everything's on instead of a blank canvas, a black canvas, right? Everything's on a black canvas and then we just work up from there. You know? I did one vehicle recently where I'm like, okay, this is really thick. I'm in a hurry. I want to knock this thing out. I don't remember what vehicle it is. I'll probably remember at some point. But it was one I needed to repaint, which isn't that many of them that I've done. And I'm like, all right, I'll just get my black spray paint and do it. What a fucking disaster. It's out of control. It's too thick in places. You get it all over your fingers. I mean, I didn't make a huge mess, but I did compared to, you know, I make no mess when I hand paint. I make a little mess when I airbrush. You use spray paint, you're fucked. You know, toxic fumes. You know, you're putting out a disc of paint like this as opposed to however small you want it to be. So you're wasting a lot of paint. It's going in the air, you know. You're trying to do some straight lines, so put down some tape. That people make tape seem real easy. It is not. It isn't. And pulled off the primer when I pulled it off. Yep. So let me show you a trick that I didn't know. You know, as I love telling people, hey, I don't know this shit. But I saw a video that some other person figured out, and it made my life easier. Take a piece of painter's tape, and then say I want to put a line on here. And I tried it, and it actually works. Take a piece of painter tape, and put it on the cardboard, and pick it up and take it off like 10 or 12 times to take some of the stickiness off. Then put it on your thing. And then it didn't pull the paint off. I didn't know that. I watched a video. Like after you watch it, you're like, that fucking makes sense, doesn't it? You know. And I'm not a huge fan of like tape. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but Yeah. That's I don't have a record of doing tape things right, you know, not for a history of doing tapey things. So I don't know if that helps. Okay, try that. Videos make tape look like the easiest thing. Yeah. Well, people don't, you know, I've said this before. People have these YouTube channels. Mine is not one of them. Where they don't show you anything that goes fucking wrong. So this guy's like, so you're like a fucking wizard. I'd rather show you I'm a fucking human. And like, you're going to encounter this, and I'll encounter stuff, and then I have to fix it. You know, it's not beneficial to show you, hey, let me show you what happens when nothing goes wrong. Okay. You're just deceiving people. They're like, well, I don't have time to watch your 2-hour video. So don't watch it. But I'm telling you, it does give you an idea of how long something's going to take. Anything that I do, if I'm doing it live, like, you're like, man, why did Tony take a long time to do that? Because sometimes it takes a long time, you know? And that's the thing about painting, you know, I don't think any of the time that you spend painting is like torturous. It's not like you're writing sentences or anything like that. You're like, fuck, I can't wait for this shit to be over with. I can't wait to go home from work. It's like, whatever, dude. You know, it's just part of the therapy. And it's too much work for me to like edit it anyways. You know, so I do it for a self-serving reason. It's like, I'm not going to edit this video. Like, you know, as somebody who's a content creator, I don't know that I'm just here painting shit and people come by, you know, but I don't like this idea that you're spending all this effort because showing you guys how to do stuff. Well, that's the wrong way to put it. But making the videos is not the reason I do this. I do this for companionship. So I can stay on track. And this brush is starting to be starting to be a bit weird. I generally don't like little ones like this. That the tip is really short. They just don't carry enough paint to, you have to refill. And it's, talk about something that you don't even think about. Try that one. Brush Lickers United. There was a Facebook group called Brush Lickers United. And my original Mitch that used to come by, he was a painting Mitch. His name is Jeff. Him and I would always lick brushes. We'd lick each other's brushes. No. It's just something you do to see what the shape it's going to have when you start using it. Really. It's almost kind of like, all right, what size brush is this? Lick it and see what it is. There was this Facebook group called Brush Lickers United. And I'm like, well, that's great. I should join that. And there was a bunch of Reddit type people on that group. And I had to leave. Because they couldn't handle anybody saying something against Games Workshop. But, you know, I'm not anti-Games Workshop, but I'll say stuff like, you know, like they used to make good paint and they don't anymore. That's maybe because they weren't selling any paint. How you badmouthing Games Workshop? I'm just telling you the fucking truth, man. If you can't deal with it, go put some bigger panties on. But there's stuff like that you'll watch a video and oh, this is real easy, and then you try it and I'm like, this isn't even remotely what they said it was going to be like. And then you're wondering, Did they lie to me? Or was I holding my mouth wrong? You know? But those kind of how-to videos are useful because you get to see what the end result is first, and if you like it, then you can go and watch the steps that lead you to it. Instead of us trying to figure everything out on our own. I haven't messed with the buttes yet. I think I'm going to mess with it a little bit this weekend, but I'm a little concerned of where I'm going to put these things. I don't need a whole bunch, but I mean, I think, having like 6 pillars would probably be nice. So my thought process is, I don't know if I'm going to like the other version of Gaslands whenever it comes out. I probably will. It's not likely I won't like it. Okay? I'm sure there's stuff that they'll get not to my liking. I'm not going to say wrong. Okay? It's the author's vision. Not to my liking that I'll probably want to change. Not initially. Play it as it is intended. And there's a chance that whatever the point value, I'm not going to call it fucking cans, whatever the point value of the cars, my 2735 tiers may not work. Because they may change the value of the weapons. So I may have to tinker with that, but I'm still going to do the tier thing. But I'm going to keep an open mind to it. I don't know that I want to learn how to play using a hardback book, though, man. A book's going to get violated. And I think I'm going to do a road trip today. I think I'm going to go to the die-cast store. And it's not because I have an itch to buy stuff. I just want to look. I feel like I want to look through cars today. I want a window shop. And just see what's there. And spend $20 or something. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like being in that environment. I think I am going to pack my little stool and just leave it in the car because I hate to sound like I'm out of shape, but when you spend a lot of time in a weird position, you're uncomfortable later. And I got a little collapsible stool. It's really, really lightweight. Like, how could it hold up all this, right? But it can. Good morning, Ben. Which isn't something you want to hear at a games table because it ain't gonna be good. Check out the cans on that one. There's a really good meme for Redditors who defend Games Workshop. Is there? Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Especially ones that aren't available anymore. Because okay, they got this car again. Oh, this thing. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. But like stuff that like you've never seen before. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So if I go, maybe I'll do a little video. You guys can be there with me and spare. It's a really cool place, and the place is so. It makes me happy when I walk in there because it's so organized for a place that has so many things that could be all over the place. It is so orderly. It's just incredible. It really is. So. I don't want to be that guy with a camera, like the guy in Pinellas County. I don't know what he is, but he's devout. Like he did one video where we went to 15 different places. Like I'm going to this Target, and here he is walking up, and then he's going through the aisle, and he's talking. He's got his phone out like this, filming. I mean, it's kind of fun to see. It's kind of fun to see what he finds, But I don't need content that badly. My content is doing this, not necessarily, being an attention whore. The last week, I've seen a fair few older people with these sort of walking canes and with seats attached to them so they can stop and have a rest. That's for Americans, man. You guys are all in good shape and walk around and everything, and they don't poison your food and stuff. You guys don't have an excuse to be fat in Europe. Sorry, I've been to Europe. No. I can tell you one thing. When I went to London, I know London's not England the same way that New York is not the United States. I would actually tell you, I don't know if you agree with me, I would say I suspect London is more the UK than New York is America. New York is not fucking America. Thank God. I wouldn't live in America. New York is... I'd rather live in California than in New York City. No, earthquakes, forget it. Neither. I'll go back to the country of origin. Wait, there's no air conditioners there. I can't do that either. I'll stay here. When I went to London, I felt short. And when I feel shortish, there's some tall motherfuckers around because I never feel short. Because I'm like, average. Technically 1 inch above average. But I'm shrinking, right, as you get older, so in a couple of years I'll be average. No, I go somewhere and I'm like, man, there's a lot of tall... I was talking to 2 truck drivers this last week, and I was like kidding with them, and I was like, man, I gotta stay... You guys are... I hate you tall fuckers, man. You make me feel like I'm short. And these guys were like 6'5" or something. Something ridiculous, Like, what are you, the fucking Dutch? Get the fuck out of here, So, but there were some tall people in London. A lot of really tall people in London. So... You live inside that Chinese commercial pen. The people were in the 80s, 90s, to my estimation, and those types love to go on these long walks and adventures when it's hot outside. Fuck that. Which Chinese commercial? Ancient Chinese Secret, eh? That one? I don't watch Chinese commercials. I don't know what the fuck they're selling, I had a guy that I ran into. I ran into a lot of Cubans that don't live in Cuba anymore, but they were born there. They were truck drivers. And usually, sorry, I paint things with a broad brush because it usually captures all the color. Usually those folks have a chip on their shoulder. And I can talk to them in Spanish and everything, but it's like, they want to bend the rules and everything because they're used to living in a society where if you didn't bend the rules, you'd starve. But this is America. You're not allowed to do that shit, right? I mean, unless you're in the top 1%, and then you do whatever the fuck you want. But this guy said he was an accountant by trade, but I was a truck driver. I said, why would you be an accountant in a communist country? And I literally told him in Spanish. I said, oh, you go into work. It's like, oh, we don't have any fucking money again because we don't believe in money. The next day, oh, we don't have any fucking money again because you don't believe in money. And he started laughing. Why would you be an accountant in a communist country? When I went to Breckenridge, I'm wearing my parka. It's not that cold. It's not any temperature that Florida doesn't get to, right? I think it was like 18 degrees or something, but dry. When it's 18 degrees here, it's wet and it's really cold. And I'm having a Starbucks iced coffee outside. Like, I want to be outside when it's cold. I really do. It feels good. You breathe it in. It feels good in your lungs. negative shit. And you know, I'm going outside when when it's cold around here. Well, it's cooler. The skies are beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's bright. It's sunny. You know, the only thing that sucks is the days are shorter. I'd like a combination of like these summer days, which is what I like. I like it getting dark at 9. And then the cool temperatures. But you can't have both of those. So, I still really dislike it getting dark soon. That just really fucks with my psyche. So what's the retirement age in Britain? Because I should just be able to retire now, right? I just go over there and just retire, and I wouldn't be able to wear pants. With no AC, my balls would be sweating all the time. I don't know how you guys do it, man. But this week, I ended up getting, not to be too graphic, I got a rash from sweating so much. You know, like when you go to a theme park and you're like, your fucking underwear is just soaked in sweat all day long. You know, you don't stink at all because, they make deodorant in my size, but, you're still sweaty all day long. And I'm like, oh my, I was like in pain. And I'm not outside all day. I mean, I'm outside for, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes at a time, 8 times a day or so, but I still got a funny tan line, So yeah, I don't want to be fucking outside. Got to get going. A lot of work to finish today. I'll catch you later. Good luck with the car search. Yeah, I'll try to take a video. Work. Hopefully you don't have to do writing. Oh, that's right. You like writing. Not me. And the other thing I don't like about writing is I don't like to do it. And second of all, I'm wondering, is anybody even listening? Or is this just an exercise in wasting my time? I don't mind writing emails. But like writing, no. I just want to go look. I'm not looking for. I obviously don't need any vehicles. I got a vehicle that I could probably turn into Murder Slut, or whatever the German version of Murder Slut is. I've got it written down. I've got a purple Porsche 911. I don't think it's a convertible. The convertibles are a problem because then I got to get crew for them. But I need to just bite the bullet and order one of those implements of carnage thing. Because I really like the look of those figures from that. Those North Star ones. But man, the shipping is just like cost prohibitive. The shipping's as much as the item is. I don't need it bad enough. If I needed it badly, I would have gotten it. But I just, But the figures look they look really good. There's not a lot of figures in there, but the figures look really good. Let's see what it's going for these days. Implements of carnage. You guys are so lucky. Everything cool is made in Britain, but you don't have AC, so that's what you get. Oh, I just found another company I didn't hear about. Black Cobra. This must be new. They only have 3 item ratings. Made by Edward. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. What else does this guy do? Oh, this guy does a lot of stuff. glue popper, napalm dropper, free shipping eligible. Yeah, I don't like, I don't like shipping being included. After, just work it in there. Just hide it in the price. That's what our customers also like. Gasland ramps. Oh, these guys have some vehicles already made up. Well, that kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. Okay, I didn't know about this guy. Sable badger. Oh, here's a British badger. Oh, why don't you stay big? Got a little monocle. Harumph. It's nice and cool today, down to 72. Oh, here's the other thing. You guys don't have any fans either. I gotta have a fan. The air has to move. You know. Sorry, I'm a spoiled American. Maybe if I weighed, what am I supposed to weigh? 150 pounds? What's that? 12 stone or something? I'd have to have a terminal illness to weigh that much. Like, you want to get down to your weight? I said, no, I'd rather not fucking die of AIDS or whatever, Like, that's 12 stone or... You have fans. Okay. That's okay then. You need to get one of these fans, man. This fan will freeze your nuts off. That thing's amazing. And that's on low. It's not on right now. Let's not forget the Mercedes symbol. Oh, that's the peace sign. No, not when there's only three legs.
Want me to create a cool visual of it, or are you looking for something else?
I hate that fucking thing. Did I say something close to Alexa? I sure thought I did. You guys heard that, didn't you? Picked it up in the kitchen. The door's closed. As the stormtroopers will be here shortly. We have fans. They tend to be smaller. These Hyundai fans serve you well. Good morning, Marcus. Hey, look, we're doing something World War II-ish. It's actually in actual World War II colors. This is Panzer Gray and that ridiculous Rosetta green that you get in those paint sets. You're like, there's no way this would work on anything. And I think it looks good for this. But I don't know if I'd paid any World War II vehicles in that color because it's just too... It looks like Western Approach's green to me, which is a great color. And I love British destroyers and using Western Approach's green, but they belong on British destroyers, not on the Wehrmacht. Okay, I think we're ready to do weathering. And what's his name's not here, so we can talk about his brushes that he recommended. These weathering brushes. I'm going to go with one of the smaller ones because some of these are like of unusual size. And I'm sure they're made where, but let's test these fuckers out. Oh, I got rid of my little cardboard thing. All right, well, we'll use this. All right. Chocolate brown. Kinderkampfwagen, yes. Saw a picture yesterday. Cool. Those things are listening 24/7. It's like the paranoia our parents had back in the day, and we now just accept it. I don't know. Are they really listening? Are they reporting, though? I think the government is too incompetent to be worried about it. Or they hire too many incompetent people. Well, we hire incompetent people too, so. I did that one day. I was having a rough day at work with some of the people that work there. And I go through the Starbucks. And you know, they got these new age, millennial, Generation Z. What's the other term for them? Hipsters working there frequently. And, you know, I order my coffee and they're like making small talk. How's your day going? I said, man, it's going to be a doozy. I got to work with a handicapped. And this new age chick just didn't understand my Generation X humor. And said, well, that's good. They need to have jobs. Zoomers. Yeah, these new people that, you know, ruin comedy and stuff like that. The whole reason that we can't, you know, have ethnic comedians. I'm going to go kind of light on this because I don't want it to really pollute. Oh, it reminds me. I need to have... I want to find a vehicle, and I probably already have one. I want a vehicle called the Big Galoot. And if you guys are, you know, I know Marcus knows what I'm talking about. When you say Big Galoot, you know immediately what it's from. Oh, that's from a Bugs Bunny commercial. Oh, you Big Galoot. Cartoon, not commercial. How am I liking these brushes? They're really fucking good. Yeah, they're better than other brushes that I commandeered towards. Now, the only reason I got these is they were relatively cheap, and these will keep some of my other brushes from being, you know, violated in such a way. I got my 1/35th scale decal there off of, it's a little half-track symbol, that's why I put it on there. All right, well, since he's not on anymore. I just don't believe him. Go out and buy some special mud product. Like, no. You know, I'm not looking for reasons to spend fucking money. You know, every year we all have less and less money mobility, or they found a way to make everything cost more. I was thinking about that the other day. I said, you know, hopefully if you do a good job at work, they give you a raise, right? But I'm just wondering, am I in better shape than I was 10 years ago? Maybe not, because things cost more. But whatever, you're going to eventually fucking die. I can't take the money with you, but I'm just saying, you know. I can tell you what I'm not in better shape in is being able to take vacation. That fucking sucks right now. I've had one day off all year. I think that's enough of this dark one. Go to the mid-grade. So I finally you found a use for the Rosetta green. Because supposedly this is a color that can go on Dunkelgelb. Doesn't look right. It doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about the next installment of the rules. I'm just going to keep going with this. Build them according to these rules. And if somehow I have to change the build on them slightly to still give them the same feel, whenever the other version comes out, assuming that I like it, I'll do that. Now, I welcome more vehicles, more vehicle types. That's why when I found out that those alternative rules made a compact car, I'm like, okay, we'll make a couple compact cars. You know, I'm not going to play it in a tournament. I'm not going to have randos play my game, you know. It's like if you're argumentative, I won't hear from you because I won't have to deal with you. You know, and it's not like it's my car versus somebody else's. I'm building all the vehicles. And I don't care which ones I play. And as a matter of fact, when I played, I give unwanted advice to other people. I mean, not like, hey, you should do this. And it's like, I hope he does it because it's the wrong move. No, just generally, like, I want a good narrative. You know, I want the game to, you know, if the game's going to have funny moments, even if everybody drives, like, perfect, you know, shit's going to happen that was not intended. Fuck, this looks good. I love it. I love it when things turn out well. It just makes me want to do more things. And there's several stages of when you're painting something like this that really stand out as dominant stages. One of them is when you prime something and get everything to look all one color. Then your eyes like, okay, you can kind of focus on the silhouette and if everything kind of jives together. And another one is when you put the weathering on it. When you do the black lining is another one, the details pop. When you do the weathering, and then when you do that flat coat. Something happens in that flat coat at the end that just kind of brings everything together. So I like when you get to those stages, because that's when your kind of morale gets uplifted. Not that I have bad morale while I'm doing this, but it's kind of like that's your little eye candy moment. So I went through yesterday on my live session, Marcus, when I got home from work, I realized that I had a whole bag of 1/35th scale World War II decals. A whole bag of them that I never threw away. I had no intention, and I'm like, well, let me see if I can use any of them for this, because this isn't a Wehrmacht vehicle, but we did paint it in Wehrmacht colors. Non-traditional Wehrmacht colors. Yeah, see this dust effects, I can do this a lot better with a paintbrush than with an airbrush. You know, with an airbrush, you're airbrushing it and you can, what I call, overshoot. Like, I want this much, and you end up getting a lot more without wanting to, being careful. That doesn't happen when you're dry brushing like this, unless you're a big galoot and you put too much paint on there, right? But we all know, or we all should know, that doesn't happen. But with an airbrush, man, you don't know what the hell you're gonna get. That got a mind of its own sometimes, you know? No, I don't have any of my 1/35th scale models. I probably had at one point maybe 30 of them, and I had maybe 6 of them complete because it was one of those like I would encounter a problem. Remember, this is all pre-internet, so I would encounter a problem, and couldn't decide how I wanted to tackle it. So I solved it by buying another kit, and then I would encounter the same, and it was like, it's just annoying, you know. And I mean, you know, that was like 1991, 92, 93. You know, we've progressed a lot since then. We have progressed a lot since then. We've all gotten better. Hopefully, all of us have gotten better. If we haven't, then you're not paying attention. Because the internet is just fucking awesome. Because you'll see something that maybe never would have occurred to you to do. And by I mean you, I mean even me. You know, and I'm like, you got to learn from other people. That's eventually going to get glued down or hot glued down. But I want to put the Windows in there. I definitely want it to be Windows because there's non-adults in here. I'm not going to say there's children, but there's other under 18ers in here. Under 18ers. All right, let's put my glasses on and step away from it. It's almost like I don't put enough of this on there. And it looks pretty good. Let's see if we can treat this with some utmost care. Something I don't do enough to most of my brushes. Now my 1/35th scale models never made it. Did they make it to the condo in 96? I'm pretty sure they did. When we moved to the house in 2003, they were definitely ditched. And none of them were unbuilt. They were all either completely built, and they got ditched at that point. And I'm never going to build them again. I mean, if somebody held a gun to my head and said, you got to build 1/35th scale models, I'll be like, okay, well, we're going to skirmish game in 1/35th scale. But just building something just to build it, and there's no potential use for it, like, no, I'm just not interested in that. You've learned plenty from this live channel. I also recently copied a page from João Peixoto's book, When I Modified a Plastic Eschi Figure. How did it work? Did you use he's the reason I got back into this scale. I don't know if he knows that. I mean, I'm Facebook friends with him, but I don't know the guy. But he had this can-do attitude of like, well, they don't make this. Well, fuck it, I'm going to make it. My words, not his. He doesn't let anything stop him. And that was like empowering seeing that. You know, not sweat. He doesn't sweat the small stuff. And that's helpful, you know, to just like, you know, just keep, you know, do the best you can with what you have. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. All right, we're going to paint school bus on the back of this in German. So let me go to my picture here that I took, my screenshot of the internet. And Schulbus. I don't know if it's 2 words or not. Schulbus. Schul. I'm going to try to type it in one word. I'd rather it be one word. One word. Okay. Schulbus. Okay, and this particular one was a dark background. That works. And like orange-like letters. That works too. All right, so let's go paint the inside of this black. It looks good. It was a Japanese figure with the rifle above his head, and I moved it to a more natural pose with the rifle down, almost a guard-like position. I'm scared to do it, but did you find a video on how to do it? I still think, here's the funny thing about it is, if somebody would have told me, let's see, when I was first doing the 20 millimeter stuff, mid-90s, that you could paint plastic figures and use them, I'd be like, fuck that shit. I'm not going to paint them. They look like ass. They're not very... And now, the only problem with plastic figures is I don't even care if they come in multiple poses, because I could stand having like 3 guys that are the same pose. Now, I don't want to do like a dozen, because you could paint you could alter their stuff a little bit to make them look a little different. Is the lines that you can't scrape them, you have to slice them off. That can be exhausting. And that's like, people complain about painting faces or horses. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And if it's across the face, you're fucked. I mean, he's going to be deformed. He's going to be a burn victim. And I've seen many different ways to doing it. To treating with that, use it near a candle. None of them are satisfactory. They're stress inducing. And that's one thing that this hobby for me has 0 stress. There is 0 risk in doing this hobby. If it doesn't turn out right, you fix it, and it's totally fixable. You start doing stuff like using something hot, or heating up a paper clip and then running the paper clip along with it. I mean, it's just all like, what if you can fuck it up, and then now you're done, Yeah, I don't like trimming. That's really the only thing I don't like. But the figures are solid. The ones you've sent me, the freaking Airfix ones that we had from being a kid, they're fantabulous figures. They're fantabulous figures. And I never would have considered him. Those 8th Army guys I painted up, they're fucking awesome. Because, what's his name didn't make everything, and he didn't make 8th Army. Dave Alsop. And there's other figure manufacturers that do that type of quality that I really like. Who's that guy that does 28 millimeter stuff? Yeah, I've mentioned him before. The guy that does the cobblestone stuff. Cobblestone stuff is great. And I'm not saying I don't like the AB guy, but the AB guys all kind of look the same. It's not that they just don't have the same level of, they're not as dynamic. And they're hard to get. That's why I don't have any AB guys. Not that there's anything wrong with them. When I first, in the mid '90s, or even 2000s, he didn't really make that much stuff other than like Germans, Americans, and I think at the time he didn't even have Soviets and Brits. I don't think he even had any desert troops. So he's definitely expanded his stuff along the way. But yeah, trimming plastic flash, unfun activity. Okay, there's kind of like some webbing on the end. I'm going to see if that's... Let's look at a traditional rear of school bus. Oh, now I got to find what the hell that could be. Well, it looks like there's lights up there. Okay, I'm not going to paint that. All right, now let's do my... Schulbus. All right, so we're going to... I always like to treat this like I'm stupid. Please be odd. Fuck. Even number. That means I have to split the gap here. Okay, all these letters are more or less the same size. We don't have any eyes or anything like that that you have to compensate for. All right, now this is the time to get a paintbrush that is holier than thou. One that does exactly what you want it to and pleads for more. Anybody ever used a hair dryer to speed dry something up? It wouldn't work for me because I'd end up waking everybody. I got about 45 minutes that I gotta stop. I gotta go adventuring with a wife. She needs to go check out some places for work. I figure I'd go with her. Warehouses. Yes, gotta see where the stash is. No. Looking to potentially move operations here. Okay, I think this is... I don't quite want it white. I want it somewhere in between the two. So we could kind of sketch where the letters are going to be. Let's get some other water handy. I've given up on using the what do you call that thing? Wet palette. It just takes up too much real estate. All right, and let's get this in a comfortable position. Yep. All right, so the first thing we're going to do all the verticals. Yeah, it's too damn... Well, you couldn't do it right now either. You'd wake up all the girls, you know? You wake up the girls and there goes your hobby time. So I'm going to do the vertical on the L. And the two verticals on the U. The letters are going to have to be a little fatter than I would normally prefer. And that's just because I don't have a lot of height to play with. And then we're going to do the 2 verticals on the H. And then the vertical on the C. Okay. And then the B. And I think that's going to look decent with a little bit of cleanup. I'll show you what it is. We're just sketching it. And I think the important thing is that you're painting it and you're painting it really thin. So that if you need to do any corrections, now I don't want to space them out even more because then you end up making the letters even fatter. Then you come in and say like, okay, this U that's over on this side is a little too fat. So let's trim that back. Just like if you're sketching a person, right? You make this box, you make this, get everything positioned exactly the way you want it, and then go in and really tune it. So I'm going to cut this end of this U on the school bus off, and we're going to just tap it. We're going to erase that, and I'm going to erase this S. We're going to have the S come over a little bit more. Okay, we erased half of the U and the S completely off one side. And then we'll come back in with the same color. This is just what I found that works for me, doing lots of lettering. I actually learned this from doing shields. You don't want to paint this beautiful eagle and then it's not in the right position. I think the first thing I did, one of the first things I did this on was some of the shields had like a rampant lion. I needed to have the main, and I didn't want to like have this part great and then there's too much space behind the tail. So I wanted to kind of sketch everything. And I'm like, okay, this provides like order. It doesn't get out of hand. Last thing you want to do is like do a really good job and then have to redo it. That's better. That's a lot better. You know, but it needs to be watered down so that if you need to redo something, you don't have this big clunky thing to go over. And it also needs to be watered down so that you're not painting and then it stutters. And that's where you get into problems. Okay, I think I want it with white letters because that goes with the white half track symbol. It's not, screaming in too many directions at once. So now we'll come in with a little bit, and this is just fucking craft paint. Well, the white is anyways. I haven't been able to find a Vallejo white, so I've just been like, all right, well, we'll use craft paint. We have lots of white craft paint, a lot. I got two or three big things like this. My daughter bought it from some project and didn't need it, so I'm like, okay, well, we'll use that for if we want to use a snow mat. We got plenty of that. At lunchtime yesterday, I'm like, all right, let me watch some videos on some people that have made some buttes. Because I got a styrofoam cutter last weekend, a blade style. I think the blade is maybe like carving knife, but it's solid. It's about that tall. I haven't opened it up yet, just so we can slice things easily, and then you can tinker with it if you need to. But there's got to be people that do. I didn't find them easily, so it's not like I don't have a clue. I just would like to do it even better the first time I do it. Good morning, Justin. Reminds me of that kids movie Megamind. I didn't see that one. And I watch kids movies, but that one I didn't see that one. There's a handful of kids movies I didn't see. And that just happened to be one of them that I did not. Yeah, the blue guy, right? Yeah, I didn't see that one. Usually those movies, we see them as a family. And that one just didn't. My daughter keeps telling me, we gotta see Zootopia 2. It's hilarious. I mean, we liked the first one, but. This thing is flowing so good. And I'm not pressing down on it either. It's almost like just barely touching the surface. So it doesn't deform the shape of the brush either. Makes the brush last a lot longer too. But yeah, my stomach's having a fucking concert. Yeah, what are you working on these days, Marcus? My wife was just in the Big Apple for a couple days. She had a work thing to go to. Now we're gonna clean up the inside of the bee, for instance. yeah. Oh, yeah. Cleaning up all these letters. All right. But this isn't necessarily a sign. It could just be fucking hand painted by a bunch of criminals. So we have this as a sketch. Easy as fuck. But you gotta be methodical. You gotta be patient and methodical. I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with that. And it is going to have a little glass in here. Because it's a crew of 8, so there's delinquents in there shooting. Rock bases for your tanks. Same old stuff, finishing a squad of Japanese today, plus an old Fujimi Honey. I have one of those. I like that vehicle. Honey, I'm home. What's that got? It's got a 75 in it, doesn't it? I have one. Mine looks like ass, though. Mine's not very good. It's not Fujimi or anything. Yeah, but this is a kludge of all kinds of pieces on here. We got the turret from a 232 Plastic Soldier Company, and I made its own hatch because for some reason I didn't have a hatch for it. I have a feeling because it uses the same hatch on the 263, and I built one of them as a 263, which is why I have another extra one of these turrets. A school bus casting cut off with the front. I'm going to put the front on something else and make it recognizably school bussy. It is a Mercedes Unimog Hot Wheels with the back wheel taken off because it was basically, I had 2 of these tires on it, and it was in purple. We have armored plates from Switchyard Studios, and then we have some parts. I had a friend of mine who had the, what was it, the vehicle that it had? It came with it was a Hasegawa kit that came with, no. I have 2 Hasegawa Panzer IVs. One's an F1 and one is an F2. They also make a G. I don't have the G. But they come with an extra parts for the ammunition schlepper that goes with like the Thor mortar, I believe. So I had extra parts from that. So this is an extra part from that. This is a little ammo bin from the Panzer III from UM. This is a RAM from Creepy Hero Studios. The running gears from Creepy Hero Studios. The shirts on the side, which aren't spaced, they're just stuck on the side, are from an Eschi Panzer III kit. My Flampanzer. They came from the Flampanzer, that. And the little mines, which are really are propane tanks, are from Creepy Hero Studios. So yeah, it's a combination of different things. Mix of army troops, same from Airfix, Eschi, Strelets, combat. I don't really like the Eschi figures. I don't like Eschi figures. The traditional ones. They have some other ones they've made now that are look pretty decent, but they're like super necky. They're almost like in these positions that remind me of flats, like metal flats. You know, they're almost like, well, we'll make them look three-dimensional, but they'll be very two-dimensionally. It's probably for them how they're. You know what I'm talking about. They're weird. They're extremely necky. Their helmets don't fit down far enough on their heads. They got a lot of problems. Are they usable? Sure, because not everybody looks the same, But I'm not a fan of them. You know what I'm talking about, So the later the Italeri later figures look pretty good. They're totally different. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. I think it's drippings time. So we're going to get light tone, soft tone, and mid brown. I guess if I am going to go to Ocala, I'll probably stop by the place I never buy things. Because they're always out of these paints. There's always out of this stuff. And I'm pretty low on it. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff with it, but I'm pretty low on them. Strelets with the flash can be an issue. I'm surprised how good the Airfix figures are. I really am. Not all of them. Some of them have some that have those make-believe firearms. I'm not using those. That standard German submachine gunner that has that make-believe gun that looks like something that the Cobra troopers used in the G.I. Joe cartoon. You know what I'm talking about. It kind of looks like that. Can't hit the broadside of a barn. I'd totally do a G.I. Joe game if I could do it at 20 millimeter. I saw somebody do it in 28 and it was awesome. I paint in 28s. There's lots of master painters painting in 28s. They don't need me. You don't need me for reinforcements. And there's somebody who was like, I want to do Gaslands, but I want to do it in 28 millimeter. I'm like, isn't there enough fucking games that cater to 28 millimeter? Come on, man. But I didn't grow up with it. They're too expensive. And the thing that people used to say a long time ago is, oh, they take up too much space. How much space could they take up? I can tell you that when you're a prolific creator, space is an issue. Space is an issue for me now. Space is an issue. If I keep building, I can build about 50 more cars, and then the tanks are going to have to go somewhere else. And it's not that I don't love my tanks, but the cars are more interesting. They're more varied in color, It's a funnier game. It don't mean it's better. It's just, You hating on World War II? No, I'm not. World War II is always my first love. I'm not a fantasy or a science fiction gamer. Like I said, I decided to play this in my own way, and it involves having nationalistic characteristics to these teams. I want Germans driving German cars, Italians driving Italian cars. That's how I want to do it. And the Airfix North Africa collection is great. They really are. Now, I never painted a single Africa core yet. I got to the point where I primed and then I just ran out of steam. So I don't have a single Africa core guy finished. But the desert rats that I painted look really good. Japanese aren't so good. I've never seen them. I've never seen the Airfix Japanese. But I'm using the guy getting shot and the two marching figures. Yeah, I've never seen them. I never saw the British either. They didn't have them at... Where did we used to pick them up at? KB Toys? KB Toys used to carry them. You know, the in the MPC thing. And man, I remember as a kid, the box art on the MPC kits was just salivatingly good looking. And it was also, this is back in a time period where you couldn't find World War II stuff in color. Other than like box art on model kits. So like, you know, really kind of brought things to life. What was the other toy stores they had in the mall? KB Toys, there was another one too. I can't remember what it is. There was two that were a chain. That's where I would pick up like all my ships. My Airfix 1/600 scale ships, the Bismarck and the Prince Eugen and the Graf Spee and the Ark Royal, the Repulse, Suffolk. Never had the Ajax. You know, I was young enough that I was thrown off like, why does it say Ajax Destroyer? It's a light cruiser. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to rethink everything. You know, back when I thought that, you know, adults didn't make mistakes. Like, there's no way this could be wrong. I mean, only an idiot would put the wrong thing like that on a box art. Little did I know. I'll have to see what the wife wants to do today. I have a feeling that she probably wants to be alone. She's been traveling with someone for a few days, so the same thing. All I've done is gone to work, and you know, so I don't mind, you know, like going on a baby road trip, you know. And like this that I'm doing, this is one of my favorite things. Anything that involves like tracing over the details that are on these castings. I really like. I wish I had the motivation to get some of Ron's new models, but it's the wrong move. As much as I want to paint him, because he gets excited when we paint his stuff, you know. It sounds like he gets excited when we paint his stuff, but I mean, his stuff is motherfucking amazing. It's and he'll be like, I gotta pull this Panzer III because I'm redoing it. I'm like, dude, there's nothing wrong with it, man. It's better than the original. Like, you're like a fucking wizard, you know? His stuff is amazing. Because it has so much personality. Like, he's better than Tamiya. Because it's just, you know... And, you know, the 3D printing isn't perfect. There's always going to be a little bit of, like, and I'm sure, you know, in 10 years, 20 years, that'll go away. It's not real, you know, the 3D print lines. It's not very noticeable at all. But, you know, I got my contacts out, so I'm running it at 6 plus 6.0. Like, I see all kinds of things that haven't even happened yet, so to speak. This is kind of a crude joining of these two things, so I'm going to go ahead and actually take the opportunity to make this look like it's we got some Rastafarian going on here. Ooh, that would be a good name for a team, the Rastafarians. Guys that have a bunch of rusty vehicles. I'm going to write that down. I don't know if I use it, though. Where is my, I can't find shit without glasses. Oh, it's right here. Gonna order some more Coulon models later this summer. Yeah, your old world was MPC Atlantic. Oh, Atlantic stuff sucked. Oh, I had some. Oh my God, they're terrible. and they were super bendy. Roco were good. Sprinkle of Eshy started showing up, and I got older, mid high school. I remember the first Eshy I tried putting together was a Panther. I think it was an Eshy. And it came in a bad kit. Let's see if I can find it. I want to say it was marketed by Aurora. Let's see how good my Google Foo is. Eshy Aurora 1/72 scale Panther kit in a bag. Images. Let's remove that. It was in a plastic bag and it had like a hanger on it. It was clear, you could like see all the parts. Oh, that's a damn good Panther camo. I'm taking a screenshot of that. Oh, here it is. Hasegawa 1/72 Army Tiger 1 and Panther, like a combination kit. Okay, well, I don't need the kits. I got plenty of them. Anyways, and it was the three-piece hull. So you had the two sides and you had the middle part, you know, and I'm like 13 years old, right? So like I could deal with that now. But I remember the two sides were bent a little bit and it was a nightmare for me. I never got it built. Matchbox. I never had Team Jamaica. I never had any Matchbox kits. They weren't available in my part of the States. In my part of the United States, they didn't get imported. You know, I totally would have built them, but I didn't build a single Matchbox kit until recently. Like one of their tanks. Nope. And it wasn't anything, they weren't available. They just weren't available. Just like I never built any Airfix kits. Airfix wasn't around in the United States. I think everybody was like, or at least in my area, they were all imported by MPC. You'd look at the model underneath, it would say Airfix, whatever. But it was, sold here in the States at that time by MPC. What was that first Matchbox kit I built? Was it the T-34? Something. I don't like how slippery the plastic is. It's extremely slippery plastic. Yeah, so I think at this point, after this vehicle, I'm gonna do a German vehicle. It's called Murder Slut. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go find I'm gonna go find my murder sled. And it'll motivate me to finish the sign for the Germans, the Circus Germanicus, the billboard for them, which looks awesome. It's gonna have people are gonna have get their panties in a bunch because it's made with AI. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna spend 400 hours painting something that won't look as good for a billboard. You know. Just a fucking billboard, just for atmosphere. It's not like I'm going to take credit for doing it. Yeah, I painted that. I didn't. AI made it. And the thing about AI is like, it's doing all the work because the prompts you give it are hardly even necessary. I'm only anti AI for like fake videos and shit like that. That's a no no. Like, hey, look what the president did, or look what this famous person did, and it didn't really happen. Like, that kind of bullshit that's unacceptable. But to make stuff for this world, I'm all for it. Because the reality is, if I got to do it myself, I wouldn't have it. Tempted to buy some of the new kits under the Revell brand. Expensive though. Oh really? There's new 172nd? Is there armor? Well, the Revell one that I have, that's that Panzer IV, is fucking gorgeous. That Panzer IV-H that I have is just really, really. The separate link track is a pleasure to put together. Are they relatively new? It's got to be 172nd, or you wouldn't be talking about it. You're a 172nd purist. 172nd Revell tanks. And I don't mind putting models together. I don't mind it at all. It's. You talking about these? No, the old Matchbox molds. Okay, I had one and I sold it. Not because it sucked. At the time, I didn't think I was going to do any World War II stuff. So I want to say a Panzer 3L. Like I need another one. Like I need an eighth one. I have so many Panzer 3Ls. It's disgusting. I never did finish the ones that I did in snow. I should. The one I finished looked exactly how I wanted it to look like. But it was a Panzer 3L with like German paratroopers. It came like in the combo pack that, it was all one box and it had them. I don't know that a Panzer 3L and paratroopers ever fought together. Oh, maybe in Hermann Goering in Sicily, but there were like paratroopers in like snow camo, or something like that. I think it was paratroopers. I've never painted a single German paratrooper. No, I've never painted SS either. All right, let's do the big trail of rust here. Yeah, I have no problem mixing 76 and 70. We can't be choosers, or it's like they have this, and so many things that I bought were like I bought it because they had it there, you know. And then when I got back into World War II, 6, 7 years ago, I'm like, all right, well, I can either buy new shit or use what I have. Be happy with what you have, not what you don't. And I mean, if I'm buying new stuff, I prefer it to be 1/72nd. But the old stuff, yeah, it'll work. It's either that or throw it away. Try to give it away to somebody, or sell it and nobody's buying. So just like, how about I just build it and enjoy it? And if it doesn't bother me, it shouldn't bother anybody else. I'm doing this stuff, and I'm like, I got a little bit of an itch of like, oh man, I should do World War II German stuff. Not German stuff, but that's because that's where I left off. I'm doing those Panzer IIIs, but I should do some World War II stuff. But the problem is the reality is I'm not gonna play the World War II stuff anytime soon. Especially with what my workload has been. I'm like, we're just holding on to stay on this. We're just holding on for dear life, trying to stay on this horse. I don't need to make my life more complicated. I think it looks pretty good. It looks too good for this simple ass fucking game. Where's the winders? Yeah, bottom of it is not really. Oh, really? It's not fitting all the way in. Well, there's a little line on these windows, and I don't want that little line, which is that little slidey window. If you ever ridden a school bus, it's that little slidey window that you wouldn't be able to get out of in emergency. Why is that not fitting in there? Probably because that's too thick. All right, so let's cut this back. It's that extra epoxy up there. So let's it goes all the way to the end. So we're going to go here, take that little bit off, and we're going to do likewise here. Okay, now it should fit in here nicely. Unless it's a width issue on that as well, but I think it was just at the bottom. Yep, now we got that going straight across. I'm going to fire up the hot glue gun and put a little dab of glue in there. Here. give this thing a clear coat so it'll frost these windows a little bit. Let's grab mid-brown while that's firing up. I don't think the new one's even called mid-brown anymore. Now let's go up a size. Let's see a build that new Bonfanza picked up a while back. What stage is it at? Did I prime it? It's just going to be gray. What did I decide I was going to do to it? I was going to make it for Russia, right? Because there's a rumor that some of them got used or something. See, it wasn't that long ago, but that was like, 8 months ago or something like that. And I've like lost total, like, I forgot where I left off on it. I'll do it eventually. It's just, I can't do everything at once, or I won't have enough of something for it to be worth the time. But it's not like, I mean, every one of those things has turned out really well, so there's no reason not to do it. I think like AK or ammo or something like that makes like a track kit. It's like 6 different colors. I'm like, just cut the shit. Like we don't need that kind of crap. Yeah, I've definitely built it. It's definitely built. And it's a dragon kit. And the dragon kits are I'm not a fan of them. They have too many delicate parts. That doesn't mean they suck. I'm just not a fan of them. I prefer something a little bit more durable. And it's more satisfying making a shittier model and making a shittier model look better. This needs a pop of color, so I'm going to make this a little bit rustier than on other vehicles. It needed some depth. I just fired up. All we're going to do is we're going to put the hot glue around here. It shouldn't interfere with anything. Now, before we close it up, we're going to have to pull these the fishing line off. See, epoxy would be infinitely more durable. But also, if I got it somewhere it wasn't supposed to be, I'd be doomed. Like it's stuck there. And then this should just drop into place. I don't think I'm going to glue it together. It doesn't fall apart on its own. It looks a lot better with the windows. A lot. I mean, it needs to look like a school bus. Where does it sit on here? Maybe I am going to glue it in place. It sits there and down there. Okay. I don't think it needs any markings other than that. I'm not going to put an iron cross. I am going to take a little bit of the white and make the ends of these of the propane tank stand out a little bit more. Maybe not so bright a white. All right, we're going to go seal this guy and she's done. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by today. We'll start working on another one soon. I've got this Mercedes Gullwing that's floating around here somewhere. That's going to be, I got a lot of German cars. I got a lot of, I've only done one Italian car. I got like 16 head of Italian cars. So. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one.